Welcome back to the Sniper week 4, our final session, talking about how to create a shot. We're going to cover that in 3 ways. Creating space before the catch. So really shot preparation stage. What can we do while we're moving off the ball to create space, really create an open shot before the ball touches our hands. Number 2, creating space from the catch. So after we have the ball in our hands, what are the different ways we can create space to get away from our defender and get an open shot off? And then finally, creating space off the dribble. What most players are excited about is, can you create a shot, ISO situation. So let's jump into creating space before the catch. 3 things again: triangles versus circles. So we talked about last week, shooting on the move, how to create a circle around a drive if you're a shooter with our drive and kick concept. Then triangle is what we think about as cutting. So we're circling the drive as a shooter. We're cutting in sharp angles to the basket, to space, back toward the ball. Changing speeds, something we're going to talk about off the dribble as well. How can you be unpredictable by constantly changing speeds and direction at the same time? And then footwork efficiency. So with each of our cuts and our circle movement, how are we using our feet to get into shot ready position as soon as possible? Again, with the theme of, before we even catch the ball, preparing ourselves to be a shooter as soon as the ball arrives. So triangle cutting, you've probably done the basic motion offense by this point in your basketball career, so you're familiar with this. I like to talk about the destinations we're cutting toward. And after a lot of thought of this, I've come up with 3 and only 3, kind of universally applicable 3 destinations we're always moving toward. So basket cut, simplest one. If we're on the perimeter, we're cutting toward the basket. If we're under the basket, what I call a space cut would be cutting out towards space, usually away from both the basket and the ball. If we passed over here and cut to the basket initially, and cutting to space would be going away from ball and basket, just opening up the floor for our team. And then the fill cut, we talked about last week a little bit with our inside pivot footwork, filling back toward the ball. Again, if teammate here has the ball and we're stuck over here opposite, too far away to catch a pass, probably behind too much defense to be in the action, then filling back toward the ball, filling up this space and putting ourselves closer to the ball, closer into an advantage, an opportunity to attack. Footwork efficiency. We're going to show this on video in a second. Try to keep it really simple based on what we're doing, having specific footwork to use on each of these cuts so that we are, again, ready to score as soon as the ball arrives, doing the work before we catch so that we're ready to score as soon as we do catch. So we're going to focus on our basket cut, just catching on our inside foot. So if we're cutting here, we like to do a juke step and then cut. So we're getting the defender out of our way initially and cutting the ball side of them, what I call a face cut, and just catching on our inside foot. So if we're running down the right side of the basket, down the paint, our left foot would be our inside foot. If we always catch on our inside foot, we always have our 2-stride layup, the same as if we were driving and picked up our dribble and had our 2-step finish. Try to make that universally consistent footwork. Space cut, we're going to show you a new one, kind of an advanced move, but something that's really, really effective. If you are running 180 degrees away from the basket, being able to turn around, get balanced, and shoot very quickly is an enormous advantage. So sometimes we'll get this guy driving or even throwing a long skip pass as you get to that space in the corner that's away from ball and basket. So being ready to turn, catch, shoot before a defender can recover is really, really helpful. And then the fill cut, again, just review of what we talked about last week. If we're running toward the ball, our foot closest to the basket is our inside foot. Being able to turn into that foot first and be ready to shoot on our early attack as soon as possible. Again, and then we're going to talk about changing speeds here with our triangle cuts. One of the things that makes this not a triangle, it's very common in games, is that you will run a circle, right? You'll kind of jog through the paint, curve away from the basket, jogging, curve back to the ball, jogging. And I always like to say, when we're on the court working on this, that your defender can jog a smaller circle right here and stay in a good defensive position. They don't have to work very hard to guard you at all. So what we want to do is change speeds when we're cutting. Same as we would talk about with the ball in our hands. If we make a fast cut to the basket, one of the best things we can do is do a drastic change of speed by stopping, what we call a halo position here. At the end of our basket cut, we put our head under the rim like it's a halo over top of us. If we sit there, stop for a second, our defender is going to get bored. They're going to get distracted. They're going to start looking around where the ball is. And then our next change of speed leaves them behind. We're able to create an advantage, create some space again, just by changing speeds. And the 4 speeds we like to talk about are just based on body motion. So walk, jog, sprint, and stop. Stop is really the hardest one because we're in a fast paced game and we're anxious or excited about going to get the ball. We tend to be always moving, and stopping is actually a non-speed that's very, very effective to leave that defender standing behind you. And then reviewing our driving kick concept, just elevating this a little bit more, evolving the concept. We like to call it playing peekaboo. If we look at reacting to a live defender here, this defender is supposed to be guarding your teammate on the wing. When you drive and that defender steps in front of you, that teammate should wait for a second until the defender's head turns, right? Whether they fully step in front of the drive or not, they're going to, at a minimum, turn their head and look at the ball. I call it getting tunnel vision. They're going to look at the ball really hard to decide how much defensive effort they need to do to stop it. And if you wait, if this teammate waits long enough for that defender's head to turn, that is the opportunity to move as far and as fast as possible. And that's what we call playing peekaboo. You disappear when they take their first step back to recover. They're going to go toward where they left you, because most players are going to stand still right here and not move. And that's a very easy defensive recovery. So when their first steps out here and you're now in the corner, they have to turn around and chase you. And that gives you a much bigger advantage. And then talking about when to change your circle into a triangle. If we think about our fill cut, if we were to do our drive to the left and this teammate's moving in a circle initially, if that defender overplays them, that's when we change to a back cut and actually cut in our triangle shape, right? Changing from a rounded circle shape around the 3-point line to a sharp triangle corner cutting to the basket. When we can combine triangles and circles, that's where we can get really, really effective. Whether we're really athletic or really fast or really tall or really strong, doesn't matter. You're kind of using defense psychology against them with this, combining triangles and circles, as simple as that sounds, with geometric shapes. If you get your timing right and you get that change of speed and you get that sharp change of direction, you can really destroy a defender and put them in a lot of difficult positions to guard you, and therefore create a lot more shots for yourself. So creating space before the catch. We're going to start with our face cut, or we're going to work on passing off the dribble, our juke step going left, and our face cut going to the right. This pop-up defender was our defense. We're going between their face and the ball. That's what we call the face cut. The space cut, running away from the basket. This is our step back catch. And we like to work on the triangle shape of our feet here, trying to rotate and balance as we turn. And then our fill cut, reviewing what we did last week, we're turning on that inside foot. And here we're demonstrating the rip opposite, going away from the passer. If we're going to drive, finding that space. And then the drive and kick again. Drive comes, shooter's moving late after the defender's head would turn. And then finding that space where the passer can find you. So moving late, turning, again, inside pivot foot demonstrated here on the fill cut. We're going to talk about how we can now create space from that catch with a couple of new options. So the first one, actually where we just left off, is ripping opposite the drive. So if we catch a pass, whether we're fill cutting or just spotted up catching, could be in multiple different scenarios. Wherever the pass came from is where the defense is also most likely to be coming from. Just defensive principle is shift toward the ball side of the court. So there's more defense on the ball side than away from the ball side. We're going to rip opposite where the pass came from to drive where there's more likely to be space. Then we're going to talk about our pull-up jump shot. kind of what we would think of as option 3. If catch and shoot is option 1 and catch and rip to drive opposite is option 2, then our pull-up jump shot becomes option 3. Once that defender has made an effort to guard the rim and stop us from driving all the way to the basket, that's where our pull-up jump shot comes into play. And then finally, we're going to talk about a step back dribble. So we just showed the step back on a catch. If we're doing our space cut toward the corner, step back dribble is similar footwork, similar timing, similar body mechanics, but getting a dribble involved. And that's what I call option 4. If defender is really at a high level and they've defended our catch from being a shot, they've defended our drive, and they're close enough on us to stop our jump shot, then a step back dribble becomes a 4th and optimal option at that point to create space away from them and get a shot off. So rip opposite, again, we've covered this a little bit last week, just driving away from the pass. One of the best principles you can adopt that's universal. Anywhere you are on the court, there's always the direction the pass came from. It's usually not straight in front of you. It's coming from an angle, and your defender is therefore coming from an angle. Driving away from the pass gets you a lot more advantage opportunities to get all the way to the rim or cause the defense enough panic that you create a very obvious play to a teammate. And we like to point out here, having one dribble to the rim is ideal. Again, putting a lot of pressure on the defense by getting there quickly, efficiently, and having really good control of the ball by not having to dribble extra times on our way up into our finish at the rim. Pull-up jump shot, we like to use the catch as a lead towards space. So again, thinking about the idea of attacking opposite the pass. If our pass comes from our left side, or even our passer throws it to the left side of our body, we want to use that to attack into our jump shot. So thinking of them as a counter move, if our defender is positioned to stop our drive away from the pass, then using the pass angle, pass side of our body to lead us into our natural jump shot helps a lot. Where I talked about strike zone passes earlier, if we catch it in our shoulder to hip rectangle of our body, what I call a strike zone, then we're probably catching and shooting as our best opportunity. If the pass is slightly outside of us, we don't really want to shoot that as a catch because it's going to throw us off balance. We can use that catch to lead us into a dribble pull-up. And if we're going to shoot a pull-up, we've created a really big bubble, and we want to get up and shoot it before that defender can collapse that bubble. Before they can pop the bubble space we've created, we need to have really efficient footwork to get up quickly and shoot it before they're able to recover and contest or block our shot. And then finally, the step back dribble, starting with really aggressive shoulders, right? We want to look like a drive, have that defender already moving back toward the basket away from us. That exaggerates the effectiveness of this. We want to step back in a sharp V shape where we were going in toward the basket, and now we've popped back out away from basket, creating the ideal amount of space where we can actually get up into a shot. And then I mentioned my favorite catchphrase. I like to call it a step back is bait. We talked about it being option 4, right? If we can't catch and shoot or catch and drive, we might be able to pull up as option 3, and then a step back is really option 4. And the idea of bait here, fishing analogy, if I can do an effective step back and, hit that shot, or at least look legitimately like I'm capable of hitting that shot, defender's often going to react. Like they panic a little bit because they got thrown off, they got thrown backwards. They're trying to recover back to you as you step back to try to contest or block you. Use that as bait. If they're lunging and leaning toward you as you step back, keeping your dribble alive and then destroying them by attacking the basket to a layup or a finish or another play for your team is often the best use of a step back. Going through the sequence here. Catch and drive is our first. Our pass came from my right hand here. I'm going to drive left, just driving opposite the pass, creating the biggest advantage possible. And then our one dribble pull up here, we're going to look at our stride stop catch. One dribble pull up. This is our most difficult one, going to the left hand. And we'll see that again here against defense. simulating with a pass, in this case, just showing you what this looks like from different angles. My passer is on my right, I'm driving left. And then this is the dribble pull up, what we call the popcorn dribble going to the left hand, trying to get the dribble off, create that bubble of space and rise up and shoot it before the defender can react. Step back dribble, go into our right hand. We're able to use that lead step we talked about a couple weeks ago as a pivot, and then reach the dribble with our left foot so it looks the same as our drive, and then step back in that sharp V shape is what we're trying to create for space to get up and shoot it. See that left hand one more time, slow motion, getting our left hand and right foot, again, matching what we do to actually drive to basket, and then pushing back from our right into a left-right shot. Talking about creating space off the dribble. So change of direction, change of speed. The simplest way to describe any movement in basketball is going to create an advantage, whether you're cutting like we talked about already, or you are handling the ball. If you can change direction and change speed simultaneously, that's what's going to make you what I call unguardable, right? Unpredictable is great. Unguardable is the combination of both of those, where a lot of players will dribble with only one hand or dribble at a lot of different crossover, a lot of different change of directions, but only at one speed. Either of those are fairly predictable and easy to defend. What we're after is the combination. So 3 different basic change of directions, stuff you're probably already familiar with: doing a front crossover, doing a between the legs, and doing a wraparound behind the back. It's what I've found ideal to be able to get into a shot quickly, keeping your momentum moving forward so that you could legitimately attack the basket, and that defender kind of senses that. And so they're backing off a little bit, overplaying the rim, because you've got a lot of forward momentum. And that's where you're able to create that bubble of space and rise up to shoot off the dribble here by doing a crossover or a wrap behind the back. And then our change of speed dribble. We like to use 4 different ones. We're going to keep it basic. We call it a skip dribble, kind of the simplest way to create a really dramatic illusion of changing speeds, right? Where you're actually keeping a lot of your momentum, but you're rising up in a skip motion so that you're getting up vertical. You've got a lot of potential energy by being up in the air. You're going to be able to come down and attack very hard and very quickly. But to a defender, you're like slow motion hang time in the air, and they get a lot of uncertainty about how to guard you. And again, use our 4 speeds here of walk, jog, sprint, and stop, so that we can become unpredictable. And if we combine these 2, changing speed with a skip dribble and being able to cross over and attack, cross over and pull up, we become really difficult to guard. Creating space off the dribble. So we're going to start very basic here, same as we're going to do in your workout, what we call a pound dribble, just walking forward into it, and then a crossover dribble. So we've got a front cross from left to right. And timing, as always, is everything. Trying to get ball and feet to work together. We're going to cross so the ball bounces in sync with our right foot. When we go front cross or between the legs is the same, and behind the back, we try to keep that consistent. So our wraparound goes with our right foot. The skip dribble here is where we're getting up in the air. So we're going to pound right hand with left foot, skip up on our left foot with our right knee in the air, and then come down to lean forward and attack, dribbling with our left foot. So both dribbles go with left foot. And then the shot counter move becomes a right left. So going back to our stride stop, we're going right left after the skip to create that deceptive ability to rise up and shoot it 1 step earlier than we would drive it. So that's it for week 4. Again, the 3 big categories we're covering: creating space before we catch the pass with our face cut to the basket, our space cut away from basket and ball, and our fill cut back toward the ball. Creating space from the catch, driving, ripping opposite to drive to space, being able to hit our pull up as an option 3, and then creating a step back to create even more space if necessary. And again, using that step back as bait as much as we can to be able to re-attack, really destroy that defender and put us in a 5-on-4 situation as a team. And then finally creating space off the dribble, using the 2 big categories of changing direction and changing speed combined in order to become unpredictable to your defender whenever you've got the ball in your hands. That's it. I'll see you on the court.